Harriet Tubman breaking barriers through history.
Harriet Tubman broke barriers in history by overcoming losses in her life, helping others find their way in the Underground Railroad, and having an impact on racial topics in today's society by helping to combat racism.
Harriet Tubman, who was originally named Araminta Minty Ross, was born around 1820 in Dorchester, Maryland. She had 11 siblings, but unfortunately they were split apart in slavery.
As a child, Tubman worked at the home of a planter named James Gay. She had to check the muskrat tracks in the nearby marshes even after contracting measles. She became so ill that Cook sent her back to Mary Patterson Broadens, who was her first earner, and later her son Edward, where her mother nursed her back to health. Broadens then hired her out again.
Harriet Tubman's impact started when she was only 12. Tubman stood up for a slave who was trying to escape, and the owner hit Harriet on the head with a rock. Harriet could barely walk back to the plantation.
After this incident, Tubman was left with severe headaches and narcolepsy. As she got older, this incident motivated her and reminded her why she fought for others.
On September 17, 1849, Harriet Tubman escaped slavery. The first group known to help slaves escape was the Quakers. After she escaped, she used her traumatic experience to help other people through the Underground Railroad.
When the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 was passed, more people started to slave hunt. This meant there was less places for slaves to hide, but they still had the Underground Railroad. Conductors like Harriet Tubman would lead these fugitive slaves to freedom.
The relationship between Harriet and John Tubman was very unique at the time. John was a free African American man and Harriet was an enslaved woman. When a free person married an enslaved person, they as well lost some of their rights.
Harriet Tubman married Tubman. While she was still enslaved, she married John Tubman. Harriet Tubman took John's last name and decided to rename herself Harriet after her mother. Her relationship with John was not the healthiest.
When Harriet Tubman escaped, she tried to convince John to go on the run with her so they could be a free couple, but he refused. 5 years later, when Harriet Tubman returned, John had already fallen for another woman.
Harriet Tubman's second husband was Nelson Davis. They met when Harriet was a nurse in the Civil War. They were married for 20 happy years.
Harriet Tubman helped over 300 slaves escape, including her mom and 2 of her brothers. As you can imagine, people were searching for her because of this. She feared being caught and fled to Philadelphia.
Harriet Tubman broke racial barriers by becoming a conductor on the Underground Railroad. After she escaped, instead of staying safe, she continued to risk her life to save other slaves, including her biological mother and 3 of her 11 siblings.
About 1820, Harriet Tubman was born as Amarita Minty Ross. Her mom was Harriet Green and her dad was Ben Ross. Her dad was owned by Anthony Thomas. Her mom was eventually bought out of slavery for $20, which would now be $439.
1833. Harriet Tubman had been hit over the head with a rock by her slave owner. This started her civil rights activist career and motivated her to push for change.
1840. In 1840, Harriet Tubman's father, Ben Ross, was manumitted or released from slavery. After he was manumitted, he lived a normal life. He went to work every day, and when he got home, he worked even more to try to free his family.
1849. Harriet Tubman's owner had died. She and her 2 brothers escaped the Polar Neck plantation. Ben and Henry, her brothers, felt guilty and returned to the plantation while Tubman continued on 90 miles in the Underground Railroad to Pennsylvania.
1844. Tubman married a free black man, John Tubman. They were married for 5 years before Tubman was manumitted. When she was manumitted, she went back to John Tubman, but he had already found another woman.
Created and narrated by Damaris Nunez and Megan Whistler. Made on Google Slides and iMovie.
To the following sources for images. All That's Interesting, Biography.com, Canada College, CNN, Digital Public Library of America, Encyclopedia Britannica, Forgotten NY.
History Channel, Kate Clifford Larson, Library of Congress, National Geographic, Newspapers.com, Ohio History Connections, and Primary Source Nexus.